And I have a pleasure to welcome First Lady to our stage, and also First Product Owner on the stage. And Michaela will share her product point of view on the topic of testable user stories.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation to this Testable User Stories topic. And as already said, I will try to show you my kind of product owner's point of view on that topic. And it, of course, should start with the statement which I heard this morning from my colleague here, that all product owners are usually optimistic people. So that's what I am as well. But I would like to maybe ask you one question before I start, before I give you my kind of view. I would like to ask you whether you yourself know what a product owner's aim or target or main goal actually is. And for that, I would like you to use this www.menti.com on your mobile phone and the code there. And if you do that, if you find it on your screen, you will actually find the question again, and you will be able to reply in short. So please feel free to do that. And I will immediately share here actually your results, your answers. So let's see if we have anyone joining in. So what is the main goal the product owner needs to accomplish? I hope it works for you. Now let's see how fast you are with your mobile phones. Business knowledge to requirement. First reply. Yes. Is it to that? Okay. Keep customer satisfied. Meet customers' needs. Vision. Okay, some more? Please go ahead. I'll give you one more minute, and then we can have a look at what my view is. But I would say that all of these answers are quite close to what I will talk about today. Meet customers' needs. Lead towards vision. Defines what needs to be done. And thank you for using English language. Translate business goal. Great. Customer representatives' priorities. Well done, well done. You can still keep on replying. We can have a look at the picture at the end. I will now try to change back to my presentation. Okay. So, from my perspective, a product owner actually has a role in the change management for both business and IT. And the most important one, or the most important target from my perspective, is that he or she, whoever it may be, delivers the value to business. Because if you have a system which you basically cannot use because it does not provide you any value, would you use it? Of course not. So that's my role. So I need to make sure all the time that whatever we do with IT teams, it actually delivers value to our business customers or end users. And that means that I myself need to understand the business needs very much. And that also means that I need to somewhat participate on the planning and the discussions with business and trying to steer a little bit of what are their prioritization, what should be done first and then next, because they don't know. They maybe only shout what they want, and they do not know what should come first and what should be then done next as a next step. So I try to lead and guide also the teams to basically govern the system or the application. And my, let's say, important role is also to raise awareness and to express that the change management doesn't happen on its own by IT. It's also the business that need to contribute, and that they have their responsibilities there as well. And I need to inform them constantly. And last but not least, business-wise, I need to always convey the message that the data belongs to business. It's not ours. It's not IT. We do not own it. It's not us. It's business. And here I have a diagram which I draw myself to show you a little bit on how we work in our company. By the way, I work in Stora Enso company here in Ostrava. And we actually have similar processes in all our applications or services we lead. And this is how we try to work. So we try to have some body, some forum established, which is this cross-divisional, let's say, does it work? Cross-divisional Change Advisory Board. So kind of a forum where I also participate myself and discuss with business on what they want and how they want to use it, etc. And also, of course, this is the body that makes the decisions. But you might have different divisions in your company. It may be a huge one. So maybe you need a separate, smaller body that actually gathers all the requirements coming from the end users. So how the hell it would actually get here or even to the release. So I need to gather people somehow. So I try to keep them all somehow in a good shape. So I try to talk to people and gather their development ideas and get them define it themselves. And then we, of course, need to document it somehow. So we use, for example, DevOps. And then we prioritize, approve, and then I actually transfer it to the IT part. So there they actually try or start working on the requirements. But what is important here and what I wanted to mention with this diagram is also that, like the responsibilities which I mentioned at the beginning, I also ask the end users to test. It's not only IT. On IT side, I have a similar role. I need to express to the team that what is the definition of done. Because for tester, done might mean that I have done my work. I have tested it successfully, so that's it. But not. That's not for the team. Definition of done is something else, and that's what we all need to understand. I need to translate the business language to IT. So if business wants to have a button there in their application, I need to inform our IT then what it means, where it should be placed, what it should do actually, or is there anything behind it. And then I need to ensure that everyone is on the same page. So again, transfer the business understanding, the knowledge to our IT department as well. And I then control the development, the process, and I, of course, need to require that all steps are done when we are actually developing something. And last but not least, I need to approve that we can actually release the items to production. And again, inform constantly and provide feedback. And here I have another drawing, how we work in our Scrum team. So we gather these requirements in our product backlog in DevOps. We get business to approve it with the forum, with this change advisory board. And then we simply plan it in the sprint planning. And then the developer starts working on it. There is code review, there is testing happening, there's deliveries to various environments until it gets to this user acceptance test environment where I insist that, hey, our business partners, please come and test it as well. We need to know, does it work? Is it correct? Is it what you wanted? And only then we actually mark it as ready for release. and release it to production. And there only we consider it to be done. So done for us means when it delivers the value to business, when it's in production and business can actually use it. So what to remember? Collaboration is key. For example, in projects, I do invite our developers also to the calls. I want them to be present and to listen and to learn what business actually wants to be developed. And also, I feel that I have support behind me. Because if business is talking complete nonsense, then the developers can say, hey, sorry, this is absolutely for nothing. You will not have any value out of that. So I try to bridge the gap between the teams. And I need to create this shared ownership of the product quality. So it's not only IT that is responsible for the service or application that it works well. It's business also. So, one example, end user. I want a tree, please. And this is what they get from the IT team. Okay, nice, fancy, even not one, maybe 5. But the result is that the end user or the business customer or whoever, they say, okay, but there is no value for me. And why? Because the definition was not correct at the beginning. No one said that it should be just this simple tree. And probably acceptance criteria was completely missing. So we didn't know how it should look like, and we spent a lot of time on something that business will never use. So again, what to remember? Invest time to get the end user defined crystal clear what they want and how they want to use it. A user story or the product backlog item is testable when it actually can be verified that it matches the acceptance criteria. So I, again, try to get the use cases from business to see why, what do you want it for? What is the aim? And we, together, maybe write down the definition of the user story or product backlog item. And if I'm lucky, we also write down the acceptance criteria. In some cases, it may be like overlapping, so the definition itself might be self-explanatory enough. This is one example. This is taken from our DevOps, one example of one of our user stories. We call them product backlog items. So, yeah, we definitely know that business wants some new fields. So we have the title, the label the business wants to know, or wants to see in the system. Maybe we call it a different way. We need to know the type, so what does it actually do? Is it a drop-down menu or multi-value option set, whatever. So choice here, what does it do? What is the behavior? And how does it work when we have integrations actually in place? And maybe if there are values, then what the values should be. Similar in all other cases. Simple like that. And you might know that, of course, but in some cases, this might not be enough. I always like to use this drawing that I borrowed from the Liberators Con. So we work in Scrum. And this is what I try to show to our IT department or our IT part in my application where we work, that it's a constant planning and refinement, and all the time there is testing ongoing, etc. But the most important thing is that the work is truly done when it brings value to business. So that's what you heard already. And that work being completed is the best evidence of the progress. So we try not to keep many items open at a time. So we like to include the testers also in the Scrum. So if we have a sprint 14 days long, we try to develop some item and also test it at the same time. And again, bring business testers in the show as well. So they do test it as well, and they confirm, does it work or not. And one thing which I have to admit is not always, let's say, possible for our team is that we are not able to split the PBIs into smaller items, so that we cannot ensure that every feature or user story is finished within one sprint. So this is the trouble that maybe you also know, that you need to then transfer it from one sprint to the other, and then it takes a longer time than you expected. But we try to split big items to smaller pieces to be completed soon. So who are the testers? We don't have a tester role as a single role for which you would be hired. But we know that developers are doing some code reviews. They are testing even in their own development environments, and they maybe help each other. So one developer step in a development environment of the other and retest after the first one. So he might find bugs already that time. Then we move or deploy the changes to system integration test and test there, and also UAT environment where our business analyst tests it. And we also ask the stakeholders, business stakeholders, to test there in UAT as well. And in some cases you can see I myself am testing as well, because I need to know, I need to understand the topic. So I want to also be informed how it works. Does it work well? Is it according to acceptance criteria? And then we also consider it done when it's in production. So what to remember? Involve testers in sprint and focus on the business end users. So that way you can quite quickly see, have we understood well? Is there anything that we should do better, or is the story completed according to the acceptance criteria? And we also try to ask business users to define the test case from their end user perspective. They are not IT guys, they are not testers as such, but when they define the test case, when they write down the steps, what they would be testing, I, from IT, would know how it actually should work. So what I like the test case should contain, of course, steps to test certain behavior described in the requirement, definition, and acceptance criteria. Steps to test other scenarios as well, like opposite behavior or unexpected behavior. And we try to invent as many scenarios as may happen. So it's not just that you would test, is the button there, but okay, what does it do else? And if I click it, does it do something which was not planned? So we document the expected results per step and also the actual results, and then the final status. Last but not least, we also keep the link. So if there is a bug found, we link it to it. And one recommendation, especially in project phase, for example, when we plan something at the beginning and then the project takes a long time, we try to define the test cases also very early. So at the beginning, when we have a lot of information from the planning phase in our mind. And why not? It helps us to remember the details. So again, what to remember? Define the test case soon enough to remember all details and test as many scenarios as may happen. For that, the end user test case may happen, and the definition also. And yeah, we try to involve human thinking and common sense and curiosity. And then at the end, when everything is done, I'm also there just before the deployment to production to check the release content and item status, and I double check with the IT team that have we forgotten something, or how has the automated tests resulted, or what happened with the manual tests? Do we have bugs due to which we cannot go to production, etc.? Or is there something we need to test in production still? And has all been documented. And then finally, I can give them the green light, go or not go. So the kind of a final statement at the end is needed. So wrap up. Definition of the user story or the product backlog item must be clear for all, and everyone needs to understand. The acceptance criteria is important because it shows the expectation of the end user. Collaboration, that's key. So, yeah, IT and business needs to go hand in hand and understand each other. Testing is not isolated, so we all test at some point during the change management. And it's not done only at the end. When you work in an agile way, you know that you need to test all the time. And use human thinking and stay curious. And that's it. Any questions? Anyone? Yes, please.
Do you do machine testing?
Yes. Yes, we do. We have a bunch of test cases pre-prepared, which we actually do follow after each release and add some more in it. And then before the release itself, we select which are actually worth to be retested. Yes? Yes?
You mentioned that the customers also do their own testing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you provide test cases for them as well? Or do they have their own?
Just now, we are actually at the end of one project, and it was a very complex one. So for that specific project, we've decided to draft our test cases on our own from IT perspective. So the business analyst actually did it. And then we went through the test cases with our business partner, and they retested it after us. And of course, they had options to say that, okay, can we test a little bit more, or what is this for, etc. So it was a collaboration, actually. But if we ask them to do their own test cases, we also ask them to define it, write it down, and then we can check what they were actually testing. And we can also comment, was it something that would not make any sense in this specific case, or was it correctly tested? Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yes?
Maybe that's a tricky one, but I need to ask, how would you explain the meaning of the acceptance criteria and its importance to somebody who doesn't have a clue?
And who that somebody is, a developer or?
Maybe a developer, or it could be somebody from business team.
From business team?
Yeah.
If business is requesting something, they need to know what they want. So from my perspective, it's impossible that would happen because they need to define what they want. And if they don't know, then of course it's difficult to define the acceptance criteria. But I can imagine that there may be a user story which is very technical, and it's just a supplementary thing for their functionality that they have requested, and they might not understand. But that we call then sort of technical change, which we then test ourselves, and only ensure that their part, like business part, is working fine as they test it. Have I replied to your question?
That's why I said, because that's a tricky one, because I faced that situation many times, that somebody from business requesting something from IT delivery team is not willing to sum up the criteria which we are going to validate
okay.
the requirements.
And for that, I think the product owner is the the person that needs to actually do it for you. I don't know your role, but I need to step in to help business define the acceptance criteria and help IT to understand it.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
You also mentioned that you try to write as many test cases before the development or during the specification phase.
Mm-hmm.
How effective do you think it is in terms of if you were to compare the set of cases you created during the specification phase, then the set of cases you had at the end of the development? Because I imagine you created some new ones.
Yeah.
What do you think would be the percentage?
Of course, it depends case by case. But if it's something complex, like I said, we would not remember everything which we planned at the beginning. So for that purpose, we do write the test cases at the beginning. And then, of course, in the due time, it may happen that there are some test cases we will not use in the end because something has changed and we had to develop it in a different way. But yeah, the reality somehow is that at least one test case should be available, which is somewhat combining the whole functionality, and you would be able to retest it after that. And then the smaller pieces, that is something that can be done during the time. So it's not that we would write like hundreds of test cases and link it to the requirement. No, at least one. If it's something too complex, at least one should be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.